Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do hopefully a kind of quick landscape. I'm going to call it first snow or early snow. I'm going to put a mountain right back here, and I have an idea. Notice how my drawing is really refined, but I have an idea of this, the stream coming through, some snow and ground and snow, and a bigger pine here, or a fir tree right here. Some rocks underneath the water as well, because I get a lot of requests for that. Should be a lot of fun. Let's hope, and we're getting some early spring chilly weather here in Nebraska, so I thought this would be kind of fun. So my board is 14 inches this way, 18 inches this way, so it fits a nice standard frame. This is the 1/4 inch board that I normally use, and then I give it I gave this one coat of the Heritage Canvas Prep Medium, which gives just a wonderful tooth to it, and sanded it lightly with 180 grit sandpaper, and it just works really well. And for the palette that I have down here, my standard palette, the only thing I'm going to add to it is the ultramarine blue. This is Phthalo Blue, this is ultramarine blue, a little bit more of a blue violet, which will help me cool those colors just a little bit more than what I want, because I want some of these cooler tones. And ultramarine blue, even though ultramarine blue, a lot of people think ultramarine blue is cool, it's not. There's not a single manufacturer. Ultramarine blue is PB, or pigment blue 29 is the chemical index named for that particular color. And it is warm. You check Winsor Newton, check all of them. It is a warm color. However, it's not as warm as generally the rest of our palette, except for the violets over here. So it appears very, very cool, okay? So that's one reason. So let's get into some of this, okay? I'm going to, I also have out some open medium here too, for those you that want to know what that is. I'll be using that extender medium. I'm going to take my 1-inch brush, and matter of fact, let's just take some of this down. Let's take some ultramarine, and let's take just a little bit of the phthalo, because the phthalo is so much more powerful than the ultramarine. A little bit of extender there. Let's add some white to it. We're going to make a nice sky color. I'll leave it a little dark here, and I'm going to mix up some of this, because I'll use some of this for the water and snow later on. I'm going to pull some of this down here to the side. Let's add some more white to it and get it up around, we want to get it up around an 8 or a 9. So in value, when we're going to do that top part of the sky, I can tell already I'm going to need some more white out. I'm going to use a lot of this. So getting it right up around an 8 or a 9. So if you're right up here with the 9, it'll dry down towards that 8. Let's just leave that. I'll add some extender to this into my 1-inch brush, and I'm going to come right up here, right along my mountain, the edge of my mountain, right down, go right through my trees and stuff here. Doesn't have to be too heavy, but I'll just bring, and I'm going to bring it down over the edge of my mountain there. A nice light color. I want that just a touch more violet. So I'm going to, and this is what I like to do. I'll just step over to the side, add the ultramarine to it. And see, when you mix your skies, you've seen me paint the sky so many times, and I use an X motion and a movement of the brush like that, and what that does is it gives a lot of atmosphere to the colors here. Let's add a bit more ultramarine blue, a little bit of extender here up, and we'll go a little darker up here at the top of the can of this, and just bring this down. Let that atmosphere, the X-marsh, motion of that kind of pick up. I want to do almost like a clear sky painting here. I usually put in a lot of clouds, and today I want most of this about right in here. This is where I want all of the idea of the painting. So I don't want to get too many clouds and stuff like that in there. So I'll just make sure I have some nice movement to my atmosphere here. Let's get a little more ultramarine blue here, maybe just a touch of that quinacridone, which is so powerful. This will make a lighter violet, even more so. Yeah, that's pretty. A little bit of that violet right in there. Okay, right along the top of the mountain. Now, I'm going to take some of this, thin it with some more extender. I'll come right back here. Here is what I'm going to put, basically what I call the vanishing point. So the stream's going to go right back up and through here, vanish right up in here. So right up in this area, I'm going to want to carry the atmosphere, the sky color. We'll do it again, but this repeats right back in through there. So the mountain will pick up, and then it'll go here. You'll see a lot of oil artists will go down and then put on a mountain, and then when they get down into those valleys where that atmosphere, some people, I like how Dustin Van Witchell called it too in one of his videos, called it the humidity in the air. It's the moisture in the air that's picking that up, and it just you just smear it out there. So I'm going to add some of that in there so I don't forget to do that. Now let's go back up here towards our mountain here. I'm going to take like a 3/4 inch brush, one of my favorite painting brushes that I have, and I'm going to start some grayer snow here. And so I'm going to take a bit of my burnt sienna right into some of my blues right here, softer snow, nice grayed down, so you can see it grays it down. It also warms it up a bit. And I'm going to use this to kind of draw in what I want in my mountain, which I have to redraw here because I took it out. But I usually, you know, when I do sketches and stuff like this, it is my idea. I see it and then I'll paint it out, change it up a little bit. And so I'm going to pull this gray down here, okay, right down through here. This will work here. There we go. And then I'm going to put the shadow. Now, I'm going to bring the light in. You normally see me bring the light in from the left because I really like bringing the light from the left. But this time I want to here because this will push this shadow of this hill I want over here, over this vanishing point, and give me a lot of depth that, you know, since I have the bigger trees here, smaller going right back through there. So I'm going to push the light here to this side. So I can do a lot of shadowing here, but I want this light coming this way. So trees, cast shadows will go this way up the hill. And so what I'll do here is I'm going to take, let's do some of this with the knife. I'm going to take some of this, model this light with the knife, maybe warm just a touch of that. A lot of landscape artists like to warm the snow with actually an orange. You've seen me say that before, so we'll do some of that. And let's just pull down here some of the idea here with the knife. So we're pulling light snow from down on the right side this time here. And so we can have a little bit moving down through here, a little bit getting down into the misty areas there, okay? And then I want to give the impression, now that's not done. I haven't lost my mind. That's not done yet, okay? I just do it kind of quick. I want to give the impression of some of the trees and stuff there, which are going to be really dark blue-greens, toned blue-greens back there. But I want them kind of atmospheric, so I'll add some of my, some ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of that phthalo, and a bit of the green in here. And we'll come right into here, and we're just going to push this up into here. You see me do this kind of stuff before, and it's going to give the impressions here. I don't want to get too much paint. I'm a little thick. I want to keep the paint kind of dry. So I'll probably put this on and then repeat it a couple times. But let's come right up in through here and give the idea of some other trees up there. Okay, some trees going up into some of this area here. And so this just, what this emulates is the light, the dark of the trees in between the snow, in between snow-covered areas of the mountain here. So here we go. And Yeah, so we're going to have a light side that's going to go here. And even into the light side, we can have some of the trees. You can tap some along. I like to pull some of this in different directions and stuff, lights and darks. Move some of those colors. This is moving a little easy for me because I probably added just a touch too much extender. I want it to be kind of sticky. That's where I'm going to get the prettiest little mountain if it's a little sticky. So I'll put this on and we'll let it dry up a bit and then I'll show you here. But I want to get just back here like this. Let some of this go atmospheric over here. A little bit of blue into it as it goes over to this side here. And as you come down the mountain, of course, a little less snow here. And as I get... So I'll take some of this, a little bit of the light here, so it gets a bit more atmospheric. It'll stay darker up there at the top of the mountain. Isn't that neat? Constantly, I like to always mix too, as well. Oh, how did that get in there? So we'll just add that in there. It won't hurt it. A little bit of this, some of this light atmospheric blue. If it looks kind of reddish or something like that, get some green in. That's the complement of it, right? Get some nice, beautiful grays. That's where they're going to get real pretty. And this is a little cooler color than what I first had here. So let's just use some of that in there as well. Yeah, see, that's pretty. Get some different colors. Don't just paint it black and white or a gray and white. Get some different colors working in there. That's better. And if you tap it, here you'll get some of those real rough areas, you know, looking in there like the edges of trees and stuff like that. So it's really kind of pretty. Get these colors here. That's kind of neat. Let's get like a little ridge line of trees up there. You can also do this with the brush. If you use your brush, I like to use a brush, but I like to use it very flat. See how I get more of a granulation when I use the brush flat there. So I like the flatness of the brush when I do that here. And if I put on too much, I'm not going to worry about it. Like I just hit that a little too heavy there, because I'll take it out. And you can take it out now, or it's easiest to let it dry a bit and then come back and do it again. But we can take some of that out just with some light color here. Tap that through. And you see what I'm doing when you're doing this? I'm imagining the slope. So here I've got one sloping this way. And let's just add a bit more dark right down, maybe down in towards that valley there. So then I'll have light and dark areas right in there, if that makes sense. And so warmer snow, let's go back up over here to our warmer snow, will come on this side here. This is going to be the top of our mountain here. So this warmer snow will pull down this way here, right down in there like that. Okay. And then the cooler snow, a little bit more blue and stuff to it. I'll add some of that right in here on this side. Take out a little bit of those trees here. So we have warm and cool snow. I'll push that up there into that little ridge line there. All kinds of ways to do it here. Just fun. Fun painting mountains like that. A little softness there up at the top of that. Let's put a touch of the warmer snow right up over here onto the light struck side, onto the right side. Tap that just a bit. And then let some of the trees and stuff take over. Let's put a little bit of the blue there as well on that side. I like that one. Try not to cover it up with too much snow or trees Here we have this one here. And it's starting, see how easy it's going on now? It's starting to tack up just a bit. And then when it gets sticky, your board gets sticky, that's when I like it the best. Let's take a little bit more here. And you can just kind of tap through. These are fun to do, just to add some of these little contrast, especially as you get down into those valleys there. Little bits, a little bit more of the mountain interest. Slight blue, little violet, little dirty here. Get yourself a warm cool there hitting on that mountain. That's kind of nice. Now, do you do more? Do we do less? Do we, put in some extra, maybe a little bit of warmth right down in here, coming down this mountain, smooth some of that out. Look to it coming down into this valley area here, maybe a bit of the trees, the look of trees here. Right in there. Tap it up. We can leave it more contrast or less contrast, that's up to you, but you leave this little jaggedy between the, or what we call the fracture, the broken between the trees and the snow there, and that's what gives you a lot of interest. Here we'll put in a few little marks of light. I like to do that because it just starts to add some details here to the mountain, a little more light. Let's bring in that valley right there a bit more, right down like that. Maybe point up this one a bit more, right in there. Here we go, just like that. So that's kind of neat. Let's put a smoother transition right in there, those two. So, do you leave it real jaggedy like that? It all depends on how much I'm going to do here. But I'm going to take some of this now, I'm going to thin it, a little bit of extender into this. I'm going to thin it so my power goes away. And I'm just going to drag this down into this misty area here. And we'll get some of this dark down in here as well. And I'm just going to break it up like this. Okay, just break it up. Here, just get some modeling color. Get some extender in there. Just kind of break that all up. And then I'll take my big brush, some extender, a little bit of my sky, and just mist that right there. Mist up the mountain a bit. This will add the atmosphere to it and push that back, see? So, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. I love to do it like this with the acrylics. They just paint so well. I'm going to add just a little bit of detail right up here on the side of this mountain. Right in there like that. That breaks that away from the sky just a bit. But it really, the more you make your mountain like the sky, the further you send your mountain back. Does that make sense? Into the back. So now you got this, a little bit of atmosphere. Let's just grab a little extender, some white, and a little bit of this. And we'll come right back up here and let's just, I don't want clouds as much, so I'm going to, and this is dry pretty quickly, but I want a bit of more atmosphere there. So I'll put that on. I'll then work a little blue. Let's add just a touch of violet to that. A little blue, some extender in my brush, so it's thin, and work some other colors. And my brush is kind of dirty from the mountain and stuff too, which will lightly take in some of the mountain colors up into the sky. And I'll add just a little more atmosphere up there into the sky. That's what I'm looking for. Just real soft. I don't want to do clouds. You can do clouds if you want. Put them back in there. I might at the end, you know, I use that palette knife cloud. I do that, but I want to keep this as a little bit simplistic. Okay, so let's come back in here and let's take this. So we have these grays. Let's go a little bit of burnt sienna and some of these greens. A little bit of these blues. Let's add some extender and then some of our atmosphere color. Real soft. Big brush. Big brush in here. And I'm just going to pull some verticals this way to emulate some of the forest that I'm going to push in here. Okay. Maybe a couple horizontals. I'm going to look. That's my vanishing point back there. So I want to preserve that here. But I want to... and I'll go a little darker as I come up here, and I want to push in some colors. Here, let's get a little green, a little yellow, a bit of burnt sienna, some blue here, and we'll take some of this up high. Okay, as I go back this way though, into these greens, I want to get some sky color. But, and I can add a little open medium into this up in here, keep these colors nice and thick, you know, here. I don't want to go too high in the sky because I want to build the trees there. So just right up in here, and you can just soften off some of that movement. These are just, it's just like the trees are real thick. There's lots of them there, right? So I'll thin this out. We'll add a little bit of blue and white, our atmosphere, as we come back here and get these softer colors, and we'll push some right over here onto this side. I want to put like this wraps around, that vanishing point wraps around there. So we'll add a bit more, just a bit of it. So that's nice and wet. Let's just get a little bit more color in there. Okay. Right in there. Let it go soft as it goes back. But look for these model colors. Tap a little bit. Pull up and down. A little bit heavier here. It'll give you the feel of the forest is right there, like the edge of a tree or something. Right there. But very soft. Let's get a little bit of atmosphere back here. Very soft. Just kind of blur this in back there. And so I don't, you know, a lot of people call it blending. I call blending when I'm taking, you know, a couple of colors, mixing them together and making a third color or color in between there. When I blur it, what I don't want to do is lose the color exchanges. I want to keep it, but I want to soften the brush marks and stuff there. That's what I call blurring. So I want to keep some of the color exchanges, but I want to blur them out, just like so you get better distance and stuff there. Okay? All right. So let's go back up here to the front. A little yellow, a little burnt sienna. We're going to, some of these colors here, and maybe a bit of white. I'm going to use some open medium in this because I want this a little thicker. I'm going to just put in the plane here of the slope of the ground that I have here before the water. So I get so what I'm doing more than anything else right now is I'm kind of dividing up my painting into the areas that I'm going to be decorating it. So the water's going to come right back down in there, here. And then I'll put some of this slope in here. And then as I go back, I'm going to add some of the sky color to this. So this color, and see, that's what helps it. You get depth back there, is this color slowly becomes like the sky back there. Does that make sense? That's what, so you're seeing this color diminish back there and go, and that's what's going to give you the depth to your painting. So I'm always balancing a lot of what I do off the sky here. So we'll smash that down right in there. Let's come a little bit of sky color into it here. Just blur that in there. There we go. And back in through there, I can use like my 3/4 to get a little bit more interest to that shore, to that slope of that ground there. But we'll be doing a lot. We're still early in the painting, so we'll be doing a lot more. Let's get a bit more yellow. We're going to put some snow over that. Have some fun. Let's get some of this dark, because the light's going to be hitting on this side. Shadow's going to be hitting over here on this side. So I'll gray it down a bit over onto this side here. And let's thin that with a little extender. So what I've done is set up the mountains, a light hitting side, and then over here a shadow hitting side. And we can hit some more burnt sienna, some blues, some of those darker colors can come over here, which is what we're going to want. And I'm just going to plow on some paint. More, what's really important is you get your values kind of close, a little extender here. Get your values kind of close, and we plow these on light and dark, and all of this, of course, is going to change as we start to develop the painting, but this will start our light and dark and shadows and all that kind of good stuff for what we want to do. Now, let's take some of that sky color, which I had right here. I'm going to violet it up a bit. A little more ultramarine blue here. Okay, a little bit of white, some extender. Here, dirty this up a bit too, because water always reflects everything around it and stuff. So just going to come close here, maybe a little bit grayer, bluer grayer. And I'm going to start the idea of the water here. Water is the sky. As it goes back here, I'm going to put this in right now, just lifting the pressure and letting this just diminish because there's so much paint back there. Normally I'd add a little white to it, but there's so much paint back there, it's going to, lose its power. And so I'll just tap this back, and we'll work some other colors and stuff into it as we get to going on that. A little bit more of the blue, so it's a little different here. Well, just let this, this play with some of the blue colors and the sky colors that we have. Here, a little bit more blue, bit of violet, burnt sienna in it. Here is just going to come forward. This is just the beginning. I'm going to change this a lot, but this is to give us the idea of our landscape. Okay, so we had a lot of changes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring in some shallow water up here, and that when you're going to paint transparent water, you're going to go back lighter again, and we're going to go back to the ground color. So I'm just going to put some light color back up in here first, right up in here. But see all of these beautiful, see how it's picking up some of the different colors of the tones through here? And I'll just drag some of this out into the water. That's going to give you more realistic water when they travel like that. When you blur those edges like that. Don't blend them, blur them. Blur off those edges there. That's going to give you more realistic water, in everything we do here. So that's going to be good. Let's just take some nice transparent light here, right back through here. That's good. Like that. So you can start to see what it looks like. Now, let's, so we got that blue down in there. Let's take a little bit of our burnt sienna and our yellow, bit of the green, bit of the blue, darker. And we're just going to whisper this through because this will be our transparent water. Our transparent water will pick up blues and the ground color up here. So this is, this will help us give the feeling of the transparency to the water, because you're seeing the bottom and the water at the same time. So, and it's basically, you get all of this mottled color, this going through. That's going to give you your transparency of your water. Back up through here, we might kick back up over here. Let's just do this. Let's just see. Because coming this way, light's going this way, shadows are going across this way. So we might have, if we put those bigger trees right in here, we might have a bit more shadow coming across right over here on this side. And you can pull down, which will calm the water and give you more of a reflection and look to it. We can go a little heavier here. And this will just, and see, that's what I like right there. And gives me lots of ideas there to work with in that water. Okay, so I have that back there. Let's go back to some of the, let's maybe start up. I normally start in the back and work forward with you guys, but I think I'm going to start, I think I'll grab a little filbert here. And I'm going to start painting some of the pine trees here on this side. The light side is going to be the right side. The dark side, shadow side is going to be the left side. So I'm going to start out with maybe some pine green, a little bit of my burnt sienna, some dirty color here, and some yellow, oxide, and maybe touch into like a little Hansa here. And give myself a lighter color of the pine tree here, okay? And I want to break this mountain right here. And I want to put a bigger one here, so a medium-sized one right here. And so I'm just going to work, I like to work the tips and the edges of this. And the goal here, the goal is to basically just kind of swing it back and forth. Maybe go to a little bit more of a tapping when you get up towards the top of it there, right? And but swing it kind of back and forth. Oh, it's going to look nice right up against that light right there. Here, tap, swing the little chisel edge of it here. Okay. And I will use some extender. You could use open medium, but I want to keep this kind of transparent here. Here. Just give it some motion, some movement back here on this side. Let's come here and make a slightly smaller one here. Right up through there. Maybe, they do get sometimes a little wider and wild out there. I just don't want to make them all pointed. Does that make sense? I don't want them too pointed, but you can tap little smaller edges out there, like some branches grow out a little further there. That gives them a more natural look, okay? And then I just get down here and I just put in the motion of it more than anything else, okay? And yeah, let's change this up a bit, maybe a bit of the blue, thin it out a bit, and just some ideas. And sometimes I will change the brush to give me some different looks to it as well. Okay, so change your brush up. Well, now, so you have that. Now, before I go on, I'm going to take some blue, burnt sienna and green here, and make the shadow side here up on this. That might be a bit dark, so I'll just tap through it. And that's when they're going to really pop, is the trees here. pick up some of those other colors there. And widen some of it out here. Get some of these. See, a little bit of that burnt sienna comes out in there. That's pretty neat. That comes out nice. A little blue, burnt sienna, a little green here. You'll get some other darks in here. That looks good. Up here at the top, let's get try not to do a repetitive type of look, so it all looks a little different, right? Here we go this way. Hush! We'll tap some in. Break some of those edges. So these are further back, so you don't want to leave perfect little marks, right? So just break some of those edges. And sometimes if it's too dry, you've seen me before how I take a paper towel and just kind of touch into it, right? There we go. Don't want a perfect point. That makes them real. And then we'll get some different ones here. Different shapes. Here. And we'll put some lights and darks in there and stuff, so. Okay, so come in here, dark. Here and make sure you drag them down to different lengths here. So you can have some smaller ones, which we might put some smaller ones right up in front here. But I want to model these colors a bit. And then this is still so wet back there. And so we'll just work right into that. Well, I'm going to widen this one out a bit. There we go. Oh, I like the look of that one. A little wider up at the tip. Not quite so pointed here, but I want to break it a bit. There we go. That's the big thing. You just don't want to, you know, what I used to do when I did these is, you know, just made little points and stuff, and you don't want to do that. So now, you know, you find a brush, and I paint with all different kinds of brushes to make them look different and stuff. And then the other thing is, which I have a tendency, see, like this, to make them all evenly spaced. So bring some of them in closer and stuff. And then as you go back here, right, as we go back, we'll just give the ideas here of some of these. Going back, little shadows. Model those colors, and we'll head right towards that vanishing point, just giving the impressions here. Right back, let it fade away back there. See, let it all fade away back there. A little bit of dark here and there. And try to, you know, keep your brush moving and try to keep it all a little different. Let's get a little more burnt sienna in some of that here. Remember though, when you're envisioning this, shadows left, lights are to the right. That's what I kind of envision there. And so I'm going to come up here and add even darker shadows right up over here. That gives me a definite light and dark on that tree. And I'll come back and add some more lights in there as well. There we go. Done. And it's a little bit more sticky, tacky. I love to paint on acrylics when they're tacky, because that tackiness grabs. If it's too wet, it just smears out, and I did, which is great back here because this is really wet, but it doesn't always work nice. Now I'm going to thin this a bit. Okay, thin this right back here, and we'll come in here and we'll push some mid-ground so it's a little darker than what goes on over here. And this side is the shadow side of it. So we'll go a little heavier, but we want to keep it close to the value of our horizon there. Closer. And some soft looks right back there. Right. There we go. Just some of that. So you see that little, the traveling in that. This is our vanishing point back here. Just some soft movements here. Just the idea of trees back there. And you watching your values, your light and dark. Let's mix up a little more dark here. Little nice dark up here. That's going to tell us eventually how dark we can get up here. Back, get some of this darkness back through here, down along the base where the deepest shadows are going to be here. But let some of this lighten up, see, and you're just letting this modeling of color here. So you're imagining light and shadow, light and shadow. Let's put a little bit of shadow up on this guy. Here, maybe just a few little marks. But you can't get too detailed back here, right? Because it's supposed to be all blurry and everything. So, you can't get too detailed back there, right? And I tend to get maybe a few too many. So I'm going to come back and blur out some of these. I do this. And so I'll soften some of that back out and leave a few of the more pointed ones. And so I look at, some of this and say, do I need, this one right here might, and this is the fun part about it is, so I start to look at it, and I might, let's just take a look, because it's only paint. You can change it. So I might come back and push this hillside right here back up in front of that one here and put it in a little smaller here. Bring that slope back in there like that, so you get a little bit different. And let's come back in here and push in a little smaller one there, right there like that. So I see a little bit more of the hill. But what I'm doing more than anything else is just adding some of the variation that comes through, So that's what I'm kind of planning here. Is variation. So maybe this one comes up a bit more high here. There. Yeah, and then let's go to the bigger ones that are up here. Pine green, burnt sienna, some little bit of yellow. This is your first your lighter colors, right? Let's come through here and scrub in some lighter color. Here, go up. Let's go up higher this time. because we're going to make a taller one here, and maybe take some of that. I don't like it. I like some sky holes there, so don't get too heavy, right? Don't get too heavy. A little heavier on the edge here, where that shadow side, but just some edges going out and stuff like that. There. And let's get a little bit more yellow, some lighter pine green colors. All right, just some into that. All kinds of, there's, you could do the old Bob Ross, or those of us that painted with Bob Ross's teacher, Bill Alexander. You can use a little fan brush and all that stuff, but I like to basically sketch them. That's what I do, is sketch them on, and so I get some variations and differences and stuff. But I want these up through here a little thicker, a little bigger, a little closer to us here. So I'll take these up a bit. Some of this lighter green coming up in here. A few sky holes coming through here. Let that happen. There, that's going to add interest to it, right? Some of this green right in there. And then the darks. We'll go in and put the darks right down in here. So I'm going to continue doing that, and so that I don't take up too much time here. You've seen me do this 1,000 times. I'll take some of this lighter green over to these over here as well. And so I don't take up too much time in this video, because I want to spend some time with you in this one on the rocks up into the front. I'll go ahead and just paint some more of these trees, some of these colors in here, just doing what you're seeing here. And then I'll come back and we'll work on the water and the rocks. It'll give us a little more time, okay? All right, so I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, welcome back. So I took some burnt sienna and a little bit of blue and added the trunks and stuff that you see in here. So I got some very casual lights and darks in there. Now what I do is I'm going to take my knife with a little bit of the lighter green and just hit. And I like it this way on the forward trees because it's more natural looking. Whenever I can use the knife, I will, because it just gives a more natural look to it, I feel. So I'll use this and just drag this, and so I can hit it and then just drag it a bit with my finger, get some of the just little sparks of light, and it doesn't look so brushed. See, so these little lights go on, and a more natural presentation here. I just drag it a bit here, like the light's just hitting some of those edges here, like that. Yeah, and maybe a little bit on these back ones. Just a little different, right? Just a few touches of it back here. Not much, because this is fading away. So just a little bit, just to say you did it. But it's just all fading away back there. And yeah, so you have to think, do you need to light or highlight those tree trunks and stuff? Which you could take some burnt sienna, some yellow, a little bit of light here, and you can just use your knife and just pull across a bit and put a mark or a little highlight mark onto some of those here. Maybe this one comes up a little higher. You can, once you put it, if it's too long a line, just pull across like that and break it a bit. But it does give you a bit of highlights. How much work do you want to put into some of this here. You know, just make each one a little different. And there we go. And then I'll come back. So I have this. Now let's go back, and you could use your filbert, or I'm going to switch. I love my flats. So I'm going to take some my darker green, a little blue, but a little blue burnt sienna mostly, and the grayness of the color. And I'm going to put in the cast shadow here, coming from this tree, coming from the lines of these trees, and a little bit more blue. So that's one of the things you always should get into your paintings here, is that cast shadow. Get that cast shadow in there. It's very important. Sometimes in my earlier paintings, I would forget that. And the cast shadows really helps the feeling of realness to the painting. Here, just a few little marks. Here, like that. Let's darken that just a touch right there, wherever that goes. Now, that gives me some room here. I want to put on some more yellows. Here, we'll come up over here. Yellows, a little blues, some greens, and I'm going to put some snow up on top of this as well. So I want to get some variation, some of these knifed colors in here, right? And so in color variation, let that fade away going back. Here, a little bit of color. Let the ground undulate up. So I'll push up a little bit further in here, take out some of that trunk that I did there, so that the ground just doesn't look like a line. It undulates. Does that make sense? Undulates up there into the trees. Let's grab a little bit of light into some of the blue here, a bit of that, and we'll start pulling this down. I'm going to leave it just like this. See, the paint's a little thicker, and so what it does is it grabs onto the surface there, and it'll make it look like little pockets of snow. So if I add anything, I add open medium to this. Back here, I'll push a little bit more so it models in and blends in, softens in to the back there. Get rid of that little bit of light right there. We'll let that grab a little more blue so it's a little softer, a little more atmospheric, not as much, and that's a little heavy. It would have been better if I didn't use that open medium and I used the extender. Remember, like we did on the bird, on the titmouse, always working those consistencies, right? That would have been a little better. Here we go. So let's build a little heavier snow. Maybe the idea of it right up here. This really pulls it up to the front here. There we go. A little bit of that. Some of this blue color will go right into that shadow, and that gives the idea of shadowed snow right there as well. It's just fun. This is a quick, fun type of painting here. Using your, see, it paints much thicker as I come up here, so I can get highs and lows of that and textures and stuff, and it pulls it way forward as it goes here. So you can see the difference between the texture and no texture. Back here, and back some of this here. Blur that out, soften that out there, right along that edge. And we should probably put maybe just a little bit. Maybe you don't always have to have snow, because remember, this is just, some of this is going to soften or melt away here, so you don't have to have tons of it, right? A little blue into it, though, over here. Cooler cooler over on this side. And that's a little bright blue, so we'll gray it slightly. A little too blue, a little too purpley. So you just run some more colors through it here. Soften it out. Just a little bit cooler, a little bit darker here. Just some ideas of it. And I'm going to go back to my... oh, I didn't add any trunks over here, so I just took a little burnt sienna and just give the impression of the trunks. You could also use your knife, like I put on those highlights there, but just give the impression of some, maybe a broken one here, some sticks here, some shadow calling out towards the water there, a little extender. Anytime I work shadows, I work thinner. So a little extender here. Work those in. Soften those edges there. Yeah, you can put some bushes up along here, little reeds and grasses, like I do like to do. Sometimes I like to just take little reeds and grasses and stuff and pull up. A little burnt sienna, a little yellow. Give the idea of little reeds and grasses here. And here we go. Yeah, just you know, all kinds of fun things going on the shoreline here. Maybe a little shadow there. There. And we'll come over here to this side, slightly darker, a little bit thinner, and add a bit of movement. Most of the time I'm a real light pressure. Sometimes I'll push a little harder to drag the color a bit more, but most of the time a light pressure. Let's give it some deeper shadows here. Deeper greenish shadows right up over here. That'll help this all pull forward as well. Could be shadows from other trees casting this way here. Here we go. And then we'll put some, to help those shadows right in there, we'll put some of the bluer snow, which is our cooler shadow snow. We'll push some of that in there as well. A little bit of snow. This is just late fall. Starting to get some of this stuff there, right? Okay, so that's pretty nice. I like those are a bit too much even for me, so I am going to just give like one or two little tips of something back here. Here. My board is knocking a little bit. There we go. Just a touch more there. I could use some lighter color on there too, but overall I'm kind of happy with that. Maybe a touch of the lighter tan color, slightly different. There. Up onto those. That wasn't good. So it just, you know, almost that snow, light snow tan color on the trees here a bit. Like that. Good. Yeah, that just helps carry that. So you could, you know, up in here to get more interest, take some of your burnt sienna, some yellow, and just add in a few horizontal movements here and like like there's other trees in there. Let's go more with the shadow onto the other side here, but just a few lines, vertical lines in there, and that will fill up and make it look like there's some more stuff going on, if that makes sense here. So we'll put on some other, and that's the thing, it's almost like you're not painting individual trees, you're painting an area of trees. Does that make sense? So you're painting an area of trees. So since I have that one there, let's just come up here. So I like to sometimes use the knife to just scrape things around too, because that just gives a different look. That's what's the most important is, in painting, is don't get too repetitive with your looks. Don't get too repetitive. Try to have different marks going in there, and that's what'll get you prettier looks. Don't be repetitive. That makes sense there. Okay, so that's good. That goes through there. That's good. Let's get down in here to these rocks here. Okay. Nice gray. So, and I'm going to paint them thicker. A little open medium, some blue, some burnt sienna here, some whites. Nice gray. A little bit on the blue side here. And let's get some of these rocks, rock gray. Rocks are, remember we studied rocks a few times. Remember we painted them in the last Western. So the Western painters, you ought to be able to just get these on real quick, right? Let's put a bigger one right out over here. Right, boom, right out over there. And maybe a couple smaller ones, right out on the edge here, right out like that, on the edge of the water. A few rocks, maybe one coming out a little further right there. Over here into the shadow, we'll make it a little darker. Maybe one or two over here. Now, rocks are three planes, so that's the first plane. We could even consider that a mid-plane. We'll go in and we'll make a nice dark shadow plane, which will be heavier on this side. Little blue, little burnt sienna here. And so the shadow side, and then a little bit less over on this side, which is the light side. Right there. So that's the shadow plane here. So let's get a bit of shadow here underneath and into the front, to the back side of that rock. Right? Shadow side. This is a big forward rock here. A little bit right along the edge of the water. So basically, almost this plane that I put in here, first plane is almost a mid-tone. So I'm just going to soften with another slightly a tone right between that one and that. So this was my first tone, and it's going to soften these edges or these exchanges right with another. That is, those of you that paint rocks with me, that is the half tone, right? It's the halfway between my shadow and the first tone I put on. And then we're going to come in with the light tone. So we hit light, we hit warm slightly. All different kinds of grays, which these would be pretty in all different kinds of grays. But so we had that tone, the mid-tone. Now we're going to have the light tone, which shows the light area of the rock. That presents the light. So here, right across here, right in there, and we'll push some more light right in here. Now, when I did the rocks, those of you that haven't, go over to the Western. The Western video, I think, did I paint that in 2 or 3? I think it was 3. I did the rocks, and number 3, a whole lesson on the rocks. It's a great lesson on the rocks. I filmed the whole thing and putting in all the halftones and all that kind of stuff into them. And you really get a good idea of the rocks and the structure of the rocks. You don't have to paint westerns or like westerns to go learn how to paint rocks, right? A rock is a rock. And so there's a good lesson, though. I think it's video number 3 on the rocks. Go watch that, because I spend a lot of time and I do a lot of halftones, and they're super realistic rocks in that painting. That's what I wanted. So now that I get the light, the dark, and the shadow, I lost some of my midtone. I'll change colors up, maybe add a touch of green or something to this, and I start making what is called broken color. So it's breaking up these marks with another mark, slightly different color here, and there we go. And they'll start getting more realistic. The more broken color you put on, the more realistic they'll get. So we'll do some of that, right? And to keep them from basically, just like they're stuck onto the canvas, we have to add the color of the rock down into the water here as well. So we pull that down into the water, and this will help them merge with the water here. And a lot of times you'll see it in the reflections and stuff, but I just drag it across, so it's not real perfect. And it's a little thinner because it's a shadow. It's thinner here. And yeah, and I got these. I want to, it's my darn left brain here. I'm going to put another rock right in here, almost joining these together right there. And maybe another one right here. Just add a little more stuff going on, so it's not, I have this terrible problem. What I do is the left brain is all my life. It's just, I'll line things up, make them all the same size and all that kind of stuff. So I'm consciously aware of it as I start to look at the composition. Did I make everything the same size or something? Or line them up like little soldiers and stuff. So something I'm aware of. Here. I like that kind of warmish color there onto those rocks. So I'll add a few, and I'll work these several times as I work these colors. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my shadow colors, some of the blue and the burnt sienna, and I'm going to come out through here, and I'm going to draw the shadow side of rocks that will be underwater. So I'm basically looking at the shapes of the shadow. Change the tone a little bit, add just extender, blue, burnt sienna, and we'll add, imagine the shapes of the rocks, different sizes here, kind of like a little mosaic here. And that will start painting some of our rocks under the water here. Okay, so we'll start shadows. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to work like you see in that video number 3 of Almost There, which is the Western. Go to that one and watch those rocks. I'm going to do the same thing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And since I just did it you know, a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago on that one, you can go over there and take a look at that video number 3, because it starts out right on video number 3 with me painting those rocks, and I want to do the same thing, and that's going to take a little bit of time. So I'll do that, then we'll come back and we'll finish the water and stuff, so I don't run out of time to do the water with you, okay? All right, I'll see you in a minute. Hi everyone, welcome back. Okay, so what I did, just like in that video 3 of Almost There, I took my palette knife at the end and just ran over some of this, and I really liked adding some of this blue sky right into that color of the rock. And I might, even just as an accent, go thin. Just go just a bit bluer here and there, because it picks up some of that. Maybe a little bit more violet. Just a touch more violet, because it picks up some of those sky colors. You see it, and again, our paintings are all harmony, right? That's what I like. There's artists that will disagree with me that say, oh no, you need to have discordant colors and stuff. And no, I like harmony. So, yeah, so I add that in there. Oh, I like that. A little bit of violet in there, here, and a little less as I go back there. Keep those simple, but lots of stuff going on there. Now, we'll go back to some blue, some burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of this red. Nice dark, right? We'll thin because it's a shadow, so we thin with some extender here. And let's redefine some of the dark water. That's going to be right in here, right in that area there, right? It's going to come over here into this area. Let's see, let's push, because we were talking about shadows and stuff. So let's just push some of that right in here. Just thin, it's a little, my surface is sticky, so it's still kind of wet. Sticky. I'll take some of this and we'll come underneath the rocks here as well, just lightly, lightly. Sometimes up the side of the rock, because this is the shadow of the rock in the water. Now sometimes I'll use the rock color like I just did a few minutes ago, but sometimes I just add this in like this. Let's get it dark up over here. Right up against the edge of that rock, right up, and we'll have, so here we'll have that. Now, let's take some of this, so a little blue, a little bit of our blues, a little burnt sienna, maybe a touch of the red, just so it's nice and dark. Let's add a whisper of that out here. Just, yeah, just like that. And thin, maybe a little bit slightly bluer, slightly different color. Let's add some of that working back and forth from this shoreline out, like the shadow, because these are shadows from the trees casting out here. And then pull up and down. Maybe a big soft brush. I'm going to rinse this out. Like 3/4 inch. Rinse it out. Rinse it out. You got water in there. Water will cut through your paint. So what I do is put a little bit of extender in it. Okay. And then just pull down. See how that just smooths and pulls it down. There. Here we go. Down like that. Okay. And we can work a bit of this shadow thin, maybe a bit of burnt sienna, thin, guys, right up against the edge here and there, up against the edge of the shoreline, and then just lift the pressure and let it fade away back there, right? Let it fade away back there. Maybe I like the undulation of color, so maybe a little bit more. These trees would cast a bit of shadow out there, so a bit of that. It is a little too even for me right here. Let's just finish these shadows and then I'll get back into that. Sometimes pull them down. Take your big brush with some of that water. Pull down. That gives you the look of reflections. And then back across to soften it a bit. Okay, I could, work a bit more detail of a shadow here against the edge. That all depends on that depth that I want to add, but I kind of like it all coming into here. So I want to state this dark in here again, like right up in here between these two rocks. Get that nice dark coming through, pull down just a bit. Now, and I set these are shadows of the rock into the water. So the rock is casting the shadow. This isn't the reflection, this is the shadow of the rock, okay, into it. Just like you'd have a cast shadow of a tree, which I kind of wiped that one out a bit. So let's just like you'd have that cast shadow of these trees there, you'll have cast shadows of the rocks. Now, then you'll have the reflection. So I'll just take a little bit of the light blue, just a little grayed color, and I'll just pull down a little bit. I don't have to have the whole rock, just the idea of the reflection of the rock in the water here. Pull that in softly. Okay. Sometimes I'll match up like a little shadow and a little shadow, into the water and into the rock. So it makes the reflection perfect. But on a quicker little painting like this, I just give it, and this is just the impression of it. So I don't get too involved in it. Now we'll take the blue from our sky, a little bit of burnt sienna and blue here, a little bit of white, but we want that blue from the sky in here, and we want to just basically emulate some of these colors onto these bottom rocks here, right? So it gives the idea here, carrying that color. So what the rocks are underneath the water is your rock color plus the sky color and stuff here, the grayer color here. I'm going to put a little bit of a shadow right in here, right down this side, shadow back here a bit. So this rock comes forward. Let's put a little bit of light. And then pull down. That gives you your good reflection. Right? That gives a good reflection. So you can come in and just like work these rocks and refine their shadows, their, deeper shadows on them and stuff till your heart's content. I like these. I like the rocks, but like I showed in the video, I'm changing how I paint my rocks a lot. And like I showed in that video almost there, the rocks, I finished them off with the painting knife, and that just gives such a great look to them, I think. I'm going to bring a little bit of the rock right out of this one, right out of the water right here. So I'll give it its highlight, put one right there. We'll give it its shadow, little darker shadow, burnt sienna, and let's go phthalo blue since I'm almost out of my ultramarine. A little bit of the shadow into the water a bit there. A little bit more light, and I do like putting that last little bit on with this knife because it puts it on more natural there. Yeah. Let's just give a little more light right up here. break the edge a bit. Sometimes I'll just drag it like that, so you get that fractured little edge. You know how rocks have all pebbly and broken edges and stuff. And just dragging your knife a touch like that just gives that impression of those broken edges, which is really nice. Here. There, like that. That's kind of neat. Let's break this. Just like pushing and dragging and stuff, that knife is just wonderful for doing that kind of stuff. Now, okay, so you've got that, you've got this coming through here. That is so darn casual there. I mean, sometimes I want to refine it a little bit more. I think I'm just going to put a little more snow right there. Just drag that snow right there. Leave that chunkiness there. It's like it's right up against the water's edge. There, maybe a bit of it right back in here. Smooth it out. As you go further back, you smooth it out, right? Yeah, as it goes back, it smooths out a bit. I am not, that is just such a straight line here. And I don't like that. So I'm going to change it. And I'll show you. We're just going to take a bit of our sky, bit of our watercolor here, and I'm going to push it back this way and then let it come back out. So I'm going to go almost horizontal there. I like that better. Like that. So it breaks it back like that. Now let's take some shadow snow and bring this edge down. Right like that. There we go. The snow would hang around. Those of you in snow country like we are, the snow hangs around in those shadows longer, right? So you can go snow right up by the edge there. Yeah. And that won't, and that'll look natural here. There, like that. And we'll just, yeah, I love to paint snow with the knife and then come back and manipulate like this the color with my brush. So I use the knife to kind of put on the snow and then manipulate the color, its placement and stuff with my brush. We'll soften some of that exchange there, right up against that edge there. That's pretty nice. Let's give it a little bit more of a violet hit right in there. Right up in here. A little more violet. A little heavier, a little more violet. Blur all that out. So see, when I blurred, I just soften the exchange between the lights and the darks, or those particular tones. Here, let's take a little thin dark. Push this back in. There we go. That's kind of neat. See, I like that better. Let's take a little bit of thin dark. Accentuate that edge there, that turn. And right up there on that corner would be a great place to put a rock. But see, it's not straight. It's just not that straight line that I had here. That's my darn left brain. You know, imagine what an artist I'd be if I was more right-brained. You know, I try to catch it. I studied all these different techniques and looks and laws and all that stuff. I try to catch it, looking for that kind of stuff towards the end of the painting. So if you're following along or doing a painting with me or something like that, you may want to just watch it all the way through and go, okay, he screws up here and then fixes it here. Okay, and then it's a lot easier for you. But yeah, it's being left brain or some of the stuff, you know, I like things even. And I mean, I don't want to do it as an artist, but I end up doing it. But so then I just come back and I add a little more and fix up a few things. And that looks pretty good. I really like the roughness right in there. It really pulls your eye right through. Okay, so we have that. We have our blue from our sky. We have our light. This is going to be the light water now. And I am going to add some open medium to this to thin it out, and a little extender. When I do shines and stuff or glazes and stuff on top of the water, I like it slippery from that open medium and transparent a little bit. And let's just try and see what this will look like. So these are the shimmers on top of the water. And I will usually, let's take my extender brush and just pull through a little bit, pull down a bit. Yeah, that's going to be a good color. So it's the sky, basically, that reflects back down. So let's just grab a little bit of this, let that go through here, there, right? And we'll pull it across, real light pressure, boom. And then pull it down just a bit to give it that reflective bit to it, right? And we'll push some of that back in here. A little bit of sky showing up into that water back there. But it all starts to come soft into that very back. So just blur that a bit. There. And a little bit up here. Right up in here. That's the reflection or the sky coming in, the water rippling. And see, sometimes I will do little glints in the water, just the edge of the knife to put little, you know, especially with wind waves and stuff like that as I come forward. Break those just a bit. Little glints, little movement in the water here. Whoops, that's a little heavy. We'll blur that out. A little bit up over here. You can go right up against the edge of your rocks. That would be fine. So sometimes I'll take that little bit right up against the edge, not all the way along the edge of the rock, just a few edges of the rock. That puts the little glints on there on the rock. And here. Shadow stays up over here, so let me redefine that shadow here. Right here. Pull that in. Burnt sienna and blue. Just soft. Let's paper towel that. There we go. Soften that. There we go. You can put like, you know, I haven't added some of the little look of brush and stuff over there, which you can do here. Just a few verticals with some yellow oxide, some dirty burnt sienna. Gives a bit of it coming through the snow. There, just like that. So it's good. See, I got a light side and a little bit more of the shadow side, which is what I want. I could define, pull out some of these shadows, a bit more thin color, and just pull out. Give the look of these cast shadows here. Right in there, that would help. A little bit more of that right in here. Maybe there's big trees just off painting here just off the visual there. So you pull that in now, and then we're going to take some of this nice glint color here and right up over the front of the water in a few places here of these rocks here, just in a few places. You've seen me do this before. Just pull that down and then you blur that up. Let's rinse that one color out, pinch wipe the brush, go to extender so you don't pull a hole in it. Water will pull a hole. And just put a little bit of that, the glint highlight over your rocks and stuff there. Right back here, maybe a little darker. Right in there. Pull down slightly. Pull across. Just a little glint of the water. Just works better when you have paint. Try to keep it just a few, but that knife, just rolling that knife is nice because it just puts the little glints. You don't want to get too many of them though, even though they start to look really great and then all of a sudden you got too many. So don't put too many here. Yep. And go like that. Just right over that edge. Move a little left hand there. That's pretty neat. So yeah, you know, I painted about 5 minutes each one of those times off of the camera. So, you know, we're not quite an hour, an hour and 30 minutes or so. And that's not too bad for an idea there. I do like that you could, now that I have all this here, I could do a little bit more into the mountain up there if I wanted to, or come back and, you know, add some of those extra darks and stuff up there, you know, drag some of this back up there like that with the brush, and, you know, that's up to you. I kind of like maybe just a little bit of those colors there because that's pulling that color up there. So maybe a little here, but not a whole lot. I kind of like the way this one looks. Just like that. Just get a little bit of that color up there. Maybe a little bit back in here. I could use a little more atmosphere right in there, but yeah, overall it's not too bad. Let's take a little cooler snow. Just a slightly cooler snow here. And add that shadow side there of that mountain. Right up on that edge there. That looks good. Pulls that through. You could put a cloud up there. There's enough going on up here in the front that you could put a cloud up there if you want. I think I will put just a little bit more on the rocks up here, a little bit lighter. You might have to hit them a couple times as they dry down. That's just the thing with acrylics. Acrylics dry darker, so I might hit those a few times. Watch them as they dry, but I do like that last bit to come in with that. Don't want to go too dark or too light over there. Come in with that last bit with the knife. It just looks great there. A little softer one there. It looks great with the knife. It just puts that light there. There we go, a little more natural presentation of it and stuff. So that's kind of neat, you know. Just and sometimes, you know, when you're painting rocks, like I did with it in that Almost Gone, making some, if you feel like it's all too much the same, you make some of them slightly different color, and so I can take a little more burnt sienna here, like into that one, maybe into this one. Don't do every other one, Dave, but you know, just a little more burnt sienna into them, and you'll get a nice variation in the coloring of your rocks. So that works. Let's put a little bluish color. So that rock is slightly different color than the others, and that's kind of nice, kind of neat. Let's push a little bit of that into there. I love just to work, this is what's called the broken color, and that's what gives your rocks, makes them so neat looking. You usually get that broken color going on in there. And so we'll just, there like that, that's nice. Let's lighten that edge there. And you know, when you work for different tonal values every time on these rocks, that's when they really get nice. You know, just the values of it, you keep the values pretty close if you're on there, and you add those broken colors, what we call the broken color of the rocks there, giving them their slightly different look. A little burnt sienna here, and then I'm gonna call it. I like this one. Quick little painting, fun little afternoon painting here, and it'll give you some ideas and, you know, really help you, because I get a lot of questions on rocks and doing rocks and stuff like that. And so yeah, now, you know, I mean, I could come in here and add a few smaller little rocks and stuff to, if I wanted to make the composition, which I probably will. But you don't need to see all that. I'll add a few other little smaller rocks around. Getting the variation in the sizes of the rocks really adds a lot to your composition. Just like getting variation into your trees up there, so they're not all exactly the same. Those variations just add lots of interest to it. So we'll just add some little suggestions there of these colors, and that'll be, yeah, that'll work here. There we go, just like that. Let's put just a bit here. That nice deep shadow, that rock and bit coming out of that side of that hill there. That's good. I hope you enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun putting that in there, and you know, getting some of those variations. That really helps. I'm gonna add just a bit of this dark here and push that light over a little bit straighter. And yeah, you'll probably notice a few things, and you know, it's good with a painting like this to set it away for a day or two and then come back and look at it. I kept this very simplistic over here, and I kind of like your eye coming and going back like that. So, you know, I don't have too much shadow over here. I could have a little bit of shadow, because that's the shadow side. So I could just softly put some in. Check your light and shadow. Shadow to the left, light to the right. I could add a couple more little lights on that forward pine tree if I want. Deepen a few burnt sienna and blue shadows here. You know, this is where your ultimate contrast is. If I wanted to pull that up through here just with a little bit more, see, I could do that right in here onto this one here, maybe right over in here as well. You can see that contrast, that light dark contrast. Boy, that just really pulls the painting together, gives it its maximum interest and stuff. So yeah, it really works that way. See how that works? And yeah, but anyway, it's good fun. Good fun. You can work on it, add more stuff to it wherever you want. You know, my wildlife painters, you might want to make it a little wider and put an elk there. Okay, so you could do that, or use that as a basis for another painting and stuff. So all kinds of fun things. You could lighten up a little bit more of the glint. You darken your shadows. You make the water, and here you make the water deeper. You know, but it carries that blue color down through here from the sky. That's what really does it. But yeah, just fun things. It's a you know, these kinds of paintings are really fun because you get to paint the trees, the rocks. You know, I'm going to build that up just a bit more. Build the rocks, the trees, and you know, all that stuff. Making sure that you're diminishing it down, going back, and you know, you can have a nice mountain back there. Nice little bit of snow, a little rough there. Some of you might want to smooth it out, take away all the interest. You can do that. Okay, it's your painting. You can do what you want. Okay, thanks very much, guys, for joining it. And you know, please hit the like button down there. That helps the videos. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, because I do a lot of different things. And if there's something you want to see, hit the comments down there. You know, Martha and I, we take every Thursday and we work together in the offices and stuff. And she sits over there answering all of the questions in her desk, and she yells across, well, this person wants to know about this. And I tell her, so she's having a lot of fun doing that. I'm just going to darken this just a bit right here. Pull that rock forward. But so if you have something, just you know, question or something like that, just fire away, because we'll answer those questions. We'll get to them. We try to do it a couple times a week, but we always have Thursdays set aside. We go through and answer everything, okay? And it's a lot of fun. So say hi to Martha down there in the comments. She'd appreciate that, okay, guys? Thanks very much. And I think I have a floral and wildlife next, I think, coming up. So we'll get to that. And there's been a couple of requests for dog portraits again. So if you want to see me to do some more dog portraits and stuff, I love painting those. I'd love to go back and revisit those as well. Okay? All right. I'll see you guys. See you on the next one. Thanks very much. Enjoy.